Coface has recently published their latest report. This report focuses on trade relationship between Africa and China. The report is quite interesting as it focuses on the historical trade relationship as well as the future trade that will take place between the continent as well as China, as well as the shifting demand between the two continents. As a starting point, it's important to note that historically the trade relationship between China and Africa has been driven by commodities. 80% of our exports to China has been from the natural resources sector. This is due to the fact that this is what the Chinese economy craved, as they were a mass manufacturer. They have, however, now recalibrated their economy to a more consumer-driven economy. Since 2014, our exports to China have reduced by 50%. The Dutch disease is an economic principle or concept that you see in a number of emerging and developed economies. These economies are normally reliant on natural resources to boost their economy, and they're not very well diversified. So in an economic upswing where there's a large demand for these commodities, of course they will export more, prices will increase. Subsequently to that, the exchange rate will strengthen. For the local manufacturing, it's almost a counter lever, as the exchange rate is stronger, so the economy can import more, which to a large extent undermines the development of the local manufacturing sector, as they are less competitive within the local market as well as the global market. It's not surprising that the countries that will be most affected by this trade relationship is those countries that benefit the most from those upswing in terms of commodity cycles. Based on the dependency index as developed by Coface, one of the countries that will be most affected is that of South Sudan. 90% of their oil is exported to China, and they lack a local level of diversification, which in the long run is not beneficial to them. For these countries, it's important to look towards the future. They need to diversify in the areas where they know China will require demand for their products and services. As China is moving towards a consumer spending environment, the local economies will have to adjust and invest in those sectors in terms of diversification. For Africa, the key remains diversification. We have abundance of natural resources. However, the relationship with China is changing. The needs and demands of the Chinese economy is changing. They're moving towards a consumer-based economy, which means we have to look towards value-added manufacturing. This is where the funds from our local governments and entities should go, as well as from the private sector, to boost these sectors so that we can produce those value-added products so that we can generate a diversified economy.